morning, everybody. I think there's a few just still joining, but thank you for joining us today. My name's Ben Flynn, and welcome to our webinar, Small Business Success. Today we have some great guests, and before I introduce them, I'd just like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we all meet respectively today, the Wadawurrung people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to thank Royal Wolf, our monthly premium partner, as well as all of our corporate partners, including and particularly our platinum partner, Nathan and the team at Pixelled. Thank you to all of those supporters who allow us to do these kind of things. We love doing it, and we couldn't do it without your support. I'd also like to thank all of our members, those who are joining us, as well as our board and the chamber team for a great financial year. Hard financial year like everybody else, but certainly a lot of hard work put into the last 12 months, and I think our members appreciate it. Certainly the feedback is really well received. I'd also like to call out all of those businesses doing it tough at the moment. We had a chat offline about how the tail of the restrictions continues to impact businesses, and we find it mightily unfair, and we're working really hard to advocate to the government to get changes. In fact, I had a one-on-one meeting with the Small Business Minister last Tuesday, and she is very aware, and she's from Ballarat, very aware of how difficult it is for businesses, and I know the conversation is strong within government about how they make sure businesses get through this. So while it may appear that things are unfair and businesses aren't necessarily impacted, which is what I believe, I know the conversation is happening, and work's getting done. Today we've got a 30-minute webinar. It goes quickly, and I encourage all of those joining us to use the chat function and the Q&A function to throw in some questions whenever you can, and I'll try my very best to get through it. Ladies and gentlemen, in no order today, I'd like to introduce Steve Keating from Inspired Wellbeing and Geelong Chamber Mentor. Welcome, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
I'd also like to welcome Roy Emmett from Business Management Geelong. Welcome, Roy.
Thanks, Ben. Pleasure to be here.
Leanne Kimura from Your Gorgeous Hair and Beauty. Welcome, Leanne.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And George Kimura from 18th Amendment Bar. Welcome, George.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
So, Steve, I'd like to just start with you, if you don't mind. Do you mind giving us a brief description of your business background over the last 20 years?
Got a very big background, Ben. Financial planning. I owned business for 10 years. Also own a ladies' health club for 12 years in partnership with my wife. Currently director in Geelong, in a Geelong home delivery, which is a food delivery business, and a golf travel business. So, and amongst other things, have coached in sport, in the AFL, in umpiring at the national, state and community level, still involved at the state and community levels there as well. So, so it's all good fun.
Very good. A lot going on, and I'd like to ask you, because it's really important, but how important is well-being for business owners? I might come back to Steve. And Roy, welcome. You've got extensive business experience yourself, but can I start by just asking you, what are some of the common challenges for new businesses starting up?
Look, Ben, the first thing that always seems to pop up, there's a combination of about three things. One, insufficient working capital to get a business going. Two, which is probably the most important, and I've got about 3 or 4 clients at the moment in this boat, they don't know the value on a per hourly basis of the time they're putting into their business. And some of them just, and the worst one is because it doesn't impact on the running of the business, ATO compliance, BAS, GST, super, the busier you get, it drops to the bottom of the list. So my goal and my passion around small business is to develop systems where that just happens. And when you've got a business that gets that right, it's amazing how well they can do. But time management, costing of that time, working capital, and understanding the process of what you need to do to be compliant when you run a small business.
And it's almost like small business owners need to be marketing managers and accountants and legal professionals to be able to do what they do. But what are some simple techniques or reports or reconciliations that can help a new starter?
Look, the really important thing is to recognise what you're not great at and get help. I kind of use this analogy of if your time is costed at about $80 an hour, you spend 7 hours trying to do something you're not good at, that's costing you the opportunity to earn $560. You get a bookkeeper and accountant in who's experienced, does it in 2 hours, and that's cost you about $60 an hour. You're still 560 minus 120, you're still 440 better off because you've had that 7 hours that you can go and earn income. So it's really important to understand the benefit of the resources you bring to your business. So I just dropped out, have I?
No, I can hear you. Keep going.
Yeah. So it's really to understand the value of what comes to you in terms of what you invest in the business, and understanding, stay on track what you're good at, make sure your checks and balances, you get your money in for your services provided, and where you can get a bookkeeper or get an accountant to help you run the compliance, because your life will be so much easier.
Fantastic. Thank you, Roy. I'll come back to you, but I want to speak to Leanne. And we are in awards season this year, Leanne, and this year, just a bit of a plug for those that are interested, clever, creative and resilient. So we're waiting to hear all those great stories from people who are submitting those entries by, I think, July the 16th. So, but yourself, you're a past winner, winning last year. How has your life changed since winning the Geelong Business Excellence Award?
Oh, wow, immensely. No, it is really great, actually, because I've entered now 3 times. So obviously it didn't really matter actually winning it so much as just entering it and having the opportunity to learn and grow from, feedback and whatnot, and even just reviewing your business and seeing what we can improve on and how we can benefit from having that feedback as well. So for me, it's been a fantastic process. And like I said, regardless of winning an award, I like to enter it to see like what sort of feedback I can get, not just from the judges, but also from my customers. So one of the feedback I got from the judges one year was customer surveys. So I implemented that and was able to gain more information, obviously, from customers to see what they wanted out of my business as well. So that was really beneficial. Also, just having the publicity from you guys, like from day one, entering those awards has just put us out there, obviously, in the community a lot more. And I've just found we've had a lot of growth just from having you guys promoting us on your social media, and also just the fact that you know who we are now as well. So that's been excellent. It's just been able to give us the ability to present ourselves as a higher end salon. So, and in turn with that, we've sort of adjusted our pricing accordingly as well. Yeah.
Some of the feedback from the entrants of the awards is the fact that it's great to actually look back on the last year and think what went well. It's a positive exercise. And in terms of looking back on your last year, what went well and what do you think are some of the secrets of your success?
Well, we've been really successful in the fact that, being able to put ourselves in a position where we're in a larger space now, where I sort of went down the track of a bit of a one-stop shop sort of thing. So we've got hair and beauty now. So we merged into a larger salon. And it was just able to give us that point of difference in the community in Geelong, because Geelong has actually got the most hairdressers per capita than anywhere in Australia.
Is that right?
It's a really, So we actually never technically got closed in COVID for the hair side, because we were 10% of the business in Australia. So, and I'm presuming that's why they didn't close us, just to obviously keep the economy going. The beauty did close, but we've only really had those 2 weeks of actual lockdown that's actually closed us. But in doing that, we've had obviously having our beauty and hair, I've been able to keep that business running as well. And what I've found in the last year is that's obviously kept jobs for my beauty staff as well. So I've kept them in reception work or helping us, training them a little bit in the hair side as well. So yeah, that's having that bigger space as well has just allowed us to have, you know, potentially more customers, more staff, so employees and whatnot. And it's just increased our sales and our profits so much just doing that. So yeah, but with the award that I won last year, so that was for retail, we are one of the regionally and nationally, one of the biggest hair extension suppliers in, regionally and nationally. So for us, I'm really well known for that in the community because I've been doing it for 18 years. So I would say that's been a massive thing for us. Yeah. Fantastic.
I'm still getting over that stat. So that probably lends itself to the fact that Geelong people have the best hair in Australia.
Well, of course.
which is a nice segue to George. Welcome, George.
Hi, how are you?
How are you going down there at 18th Amendment? How's it ticking?
Pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of hair though. But, look, we're good. We're happy to be open. We still have queues, and yeah, look, it's been a really hard 15 months. That we're still growing, but it's been tough. Yeah.
And I know you're always on the lookout for new ventures. Have you got anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm in the process of renovating another venue. It's called Non-Disclosure, which will be a 42-seat, other even higher end cocktail bar than 18th Amendment, with very rare whiskies and spirits, and really focused on customer service.
And how is it finding properties for these kind of ventures at the moment in Geelong?
It's actually really hard, especially in the little Mel Street precinct. That's why this little space come on board late last year, and I just took it without even having a concept because I've got a few concepts coming up.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess you have to take it when you can, anything in that area.
And I've heard a lot of people suggest that now is actually the best time to start a business. And when you look at the savings that people have and so on associated with the COVID lockdown, people are pretty keen to get out there and go a bit nuts, and you might be the beneficiary over the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, they're definitely drinking quality over quantity. So we're finding that even though we have less people coming in because of restrictions, the cost per spend per head is a fair bit higher. So look, it definitely is a good time to keep, if you want to start a business or grow your business. We opened up 18th Amendment Bar Ballarat in between the two lockdowns last year. It wasn't on purpose, and that's thriving. So yeah, look, as long as you can back yourself, and most importantly, you've got that capital behind you that you can survive that time where if it is a bit quiet, I would say go for it. But if you've just got enough budget to do your renovation and open, I would definitely not do it at the moment.
Yeah. And given you're expanding, how hard is it to find good staff?
Look, it's very hard to find staff at the moment. We're kind of lucky, I think, with 18th Amendment. We're a little bit of a big fish in a small pond. So we find that most of the hospitality workers want to come and work for us. But there are a lot of other venues that are really struggling. Like, we've already got a full team set up for the next venue, and it's still a few months away.
Yeah. And Steve, welcome back. Have I got you there?
Sorry, mate. Is that better? I can hear you now.
No, that's great. And look, talking to George about some of the challenges in staffing, what other challenges are you seeing small businesses having in your mentoring sessions?
A lot of business I deal with are startups, but certainly the challenge at the moment is getting their marketing message out to the right people. I mean, that's always a key, understanding your target market and how to get your message to them in the most effective way, most cost-effective way. And that's always, it's always an ongoing challenge, So, yeah.
Yeah. And how do you find the mentoring? Is that something you'd really recommend to businesses?
Absolutely, yeah. The key thing is you're never on your own. I mean, you've got access to some mentoring. It's a pretty cheap form of business advice that you can access, and even some marketing. I mean, the City of Geelong have also got some available free marketing sessions as well. So, and access. You're never on your own. The key point here is you're not on your own. There's people out there who are willing to help. And willing to offer, their advice one way or the other.
Yeah, fantastic. And can I just ask, you're obviously a man of many trades, but we are talking about small businesses today, and you've been on that journey many times. Roy, you touched on some of the reporting requirements for small businesses, which so many people find so arduous and time consuming. Do you mind just sort of recapping on those, just so people know what they need to prioritise?
Yeah, look, the important thing is understanding your cash flow, the ability to pay your bills, the ability to pay your staff. And what I've learned, going back to the question that you asked, Steve, my biggest mistake, I took too long to embrace the cloud software platforms.
Okay.
Because I'm in Geelong, I've still got clients in Melbourne that I can do that for.
Mm-hmm.
So people sometimes get a bit intimidated by having an extra body in their workspace that they can't deal with. Cloud platforms are so good and so automated. Basically, it pretty much means all you need is the business owner's permission to have that information to come into a platform that you've got access to, and the bookkeeper and the accountant can do that for you. I found my process, particularly when someone doesn't have any sort of financial understanding, is to educate what does a profit and loss mean, what does a balance sheet mean. So, and understanding the fundamental, why do I reconcile the bank statement? Because I want to make sure no one's taking money out of your account that you're not aware of. So the bank statement reconciliation looks at all the transactions either on a week or a monthly basis, so you know the integrity of your data is safe. And then the next level is to take it to that profit and loss and balance sheet and even cash flow, just so you know you're not wasting your time in a business that's not making money. Because the last thing you want to do is spend 80 hours a week and you're going backwards. So it's really important to get that professional in that can give you that advice on the performance of your business, not just that passion. And I'm sure Leanne's the same in terms of what she's done. The passion will get you so far. The financial outcomes are something you must get your head around and understand. That's the result of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully the result is quite good. And if your business is in a position to grow, what are some of the options to be able to finance that growth?
Look, that's a really, most banks want to look at 2 years of tax returns. So if you're a startup, get 2 years of performance under your belt, show that you've got solid cash flow, show that you can pay your bills on time, your superannuation's up to date, you pay your GST on time, and then you can go to the bank and they'll have a lot of comfort about giving you an overdraft or investment in equipment or because those things, sometimes there's an economies of scale that you can achieve with bums on seats, but at some point, automation and equipment has to come into play for order for you to take that next level. Because I'm sure, come back to you, Leanne, if you haven't got the right equipment to be that high-end hairdressing business, you're not going to get to that high end where you want to be. So it's really important, and the same with you, George, in your business, that high end value. Like I'm at a point where I can come to a venue like you because I have choice, but you've got to make sure that all the ducks are in a row, and it's a couple of years of solid business performance, demonstrate that you've got that flow going forward, and generally the banks will accommodate with the loans to get you to the next level.
Fantastic. And I love a good segue. So thank you for lending a segue to Leanne. And Leanne, where do you see your business growing over the next 5 years? Okay,
so I'm actually currently in the process of developing a new business. So that's going to tie in with my current business. So I'm importing hair extensions at the moment as samples. So so far so good. But why I'm doing that is because we're in a situation, obviously, where I've actually got suppliers coming to me directly. Obviously, they're having, whatever's happened in the world. And so I'm sort of in a really good position for negotiation as well. And what that's going to do for me is, being obviously one of the biggest retailers, like I said, regionally in particular, I'm going to be cutting out that middleman. So we're going to be like saving thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to do that. So I'm going to be a wholesaler and distributor. So to hopefully nationally, I want to get to. So that's my next project, and that's going to help the business obviously grow even more. So, and I want to utilize the staff. I've got a really excellent team. So they're really, really keen and passionate about where I'm taking it. And so that's sort of the exciting thing happening at the moment.
And we love businesses doing well and employing more people. Do you think you'll need a few more people over the next 5 years?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And, you know, like Roy was saying, in terms of having that financial backing, I think it's being really, really smart when you're starting up your business, because, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. There's unforeseen circumstances like, you know, what's happened in the past year. So it's really having that financial backing behind you, and also just allowing that financial backing for future investments as well. Yeah. So I'm just really aware of that. And George is the same. You know, we actually don't take out loans ourselves. So we just save until we're ready for the next project. But everyone is different, obviously. Some people aren't in that position at the start. But yeah, just that's probably my number one thing would be just to make sure, yeah, you've got that backing.
And there's one quick thing I'd like to add to what George and Leanne have said. The other thing that's really critical in expansion of small business is your team. And to hear how both George and Leanne have spoken about their team, from an accounting and a process point of view, when you're expanding, you don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to have to change your strategies to accommodate to get the job done. Whether you've got 2 people or 20 people that are on your team and passionate about what you do, you just take them with the journey and give them the opportunity to bring their stuff to the table. Because just because you're the business owner, you don't need to make all the decisions. Some of the, you know, in my previous life as a warehouse manager, I often found I'd just ask, okay, I go to, well, obviously key staff members, I say, this isn't quite working, what are you thinking? And it just brought amazing results to the table. So back your team, put money into training, put money into mentoring for them, because as a business manager, as you expand, you can't do that all. You've got to have good Indians coming with you to help the business grow.
I totally agree with that, because our, you know, obviously I've had children in the last 3 years, so I've had to delegate roles to other staff, and they're so capable of it. And everyone's got different skills.
Just looking
my receptionist, pardon?
They're just looking for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. And they want to grow with you. If you're a good leader and mentor to them, then they want to grow with you. So it's just keeping them passionate, keeping that education.
Often that will turn them into good people across the community, because if someone's got passion and interest in their job, that goes home with them, and that changes the dynamic around how your business operates, and the impact and the focus you've got as a business as your social conscience per se. Yeah Gives them sort of ownership in a way as well of the business. And that I guess, you know, opposed to their usual role within the business, you know, it gives them that sense of purpose. Correct.
So yeah.
And it is so hard to find good staff. Well, find good staff, but you want to keep them, don't you? And having empowered staff groups, super important, no doubt. And George, is that, you know, in terms of the ingredients for success or tips for small businesses, is that one of the ones you'd proffer?
Oh, absolutely. Staff are everything for me. If it wasn't for my staff, I wouldn't be as successful. And we don't look for management outside of our group when we do a new venue. So we always promote. And we always let staff know that, look, you know, we just put another 2 on full time in the last 2 weeks, and they'll work their way up, and we train them for future venues, whether they're going to happen or not. And yeah, look, as I think Roy said earlier, passion, yes, you have to be passionate.
And do you think new businesses need more support? Should there be more out there to help entrepreneurs?
Can I just give you a bit of, sorry, George, just quickly in that's a great question, because often startups, if they're coming out of employment, and what George just said, and going to small business, some people don't get the quantum leap from going home at 5 o'clock versus the 12, 15-hour days you're going to have to put in to start up your business. And education is everything, you know, particularly around tax paying. I've got in startups, particularly people that still are employed and run a business, there's still a perception out there that gets taxed separately. It doesn't. It comes into one pool. And just little naiveties like that. But I think, George, you're such a great story in terms, you knew it wasn't going to be overnight, but people need to know if they're passionate, they've got a great product that they can do. And where what Steve said about mentoring, get a great mentor. to help you because mental health has really come to the fore in COVID times, and particularly as a startup, Ben, when you're hitting the wall, as you said, you don't want to be on your own.
Yeah. And just a bit of a plug, the Chamber is offering 8 hours of free mentoring at the moment for anyone who wants it. So go to our website and check it out. Sorry, Leanne, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, it's really important just to know your industry that you're going into. I think that is one of the most key things as well, is that I've seen people go into business that aren't as particularly familiar with the industry that they're going into.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wouldn't take that chance personally. Yeah, I just think you're going to be a lot more successful just being really experienced before going into something. And that's where obviously, you know, myself and George really took the time to get to know that, and that's why we probably are successful. Yep. So yeah.
And Steve, yourself, what's your final tip for small businesses at the moment?
Yeah, one of the key ones is to, particularly in the current environment, I know one of our businesses has been closed for 6 months of last year, and then the latest lockdown has really set my wife into a really low sort of mental area. I mean, you've just got to look after yourself. You know, I mean, you've got to take care of yourself, and then you probably got to revisit the vision for your business and try and endeavour to understand again why you got into business, what you love about your business. You know, I mean, you should have a business. Everyone should really have a business plan. Revisit your business plan. Think about your business. Think about maybe how you can develop new markets. How do you reach them once again? And just make sure that you're eating well, you're sleeping well. You know, I mean, they're the key things just to keep you mentally on top of your game. You know, I mean, on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis.
Super important. Thank you for that, Steve. And George, I was told during the week that business registrations in Geelong are at an all-time high, which knocked me off my seat. Are you surprised by that?
Probably not, because we've got a lot of time to sit at home and think about things.
Yeah.
And start working on our dreams. So yeah, look, absolutely. I've registered a few businesses lately too for the future. So yeah, look, good on you. That's the first step. So, and it's not expensive to register a business name, and it gets you motivated. So yeah, go for it.
And entrepreneurs, by their very nature, see gaps in the market, don't they? And gaps appear with disruptions, and this has been a pretty serious disruption. So I shouldn't be surprised, but I say that deliberately because we need to rebuild our confidence and be sure that Geelong's in a really good spot to recover. And it's people like yourselves, small businesses, who are driving that recovery. And I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. I'll go through again. Steve Keating from Inspired Wellbeing. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Roy Emmett from Business Management Geelong. Thank you, Roy.
Thanks, team. Thanks, Ben. Really enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
Leanne Kimura from Your Gorgeous Hair and Beauty. Thank you so much, Leanne.
Thank you so much, and thanks for asking me.
And George Kimura from 18th Amendment, and as he's already mentioned, some other businesses in the pipeline. Thank you, George.
Thanks, Ben. It's been great.
As always, thank you to all our guests for joining us today, as well as all of our participants, and we'll see you again shortly, and have a great weekend.